All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're here with Allie Wayman and Jeremiah Wayman, some Glick staffers during August, which is National Breastfeeding Month. And they're going to share with us a bit about their journey breastfeeding.
So I'll start since I had the real job of doing the breastfeeding. But my name's Allie. I'm a nurse here. I work in the behavioral health department and provide care coordination for patients. I work with women that have endured maybe some sexual or domestic violence. And also, I'm a lactation counselor here. So this is near and dear to my heart, this work. I was not a lactation counselor when I started breastfeeding though. So I kind of went into this despite being a nurse, a little blinded, feeling a little pressured, feeling a little nervous. You know, we only have one child. So this was a new experience. The reason I really wanted to breastfeed was just being a nurse, knowing the health benefits to not only baby, like immunity and things like that, but to me, breastfeeding can be helpful to prevent breast cancer and different types of illnesses, chronic illnesses. So that was really important to me for my own health and for my babies. And it was quite the journey. It was beautiful, but also we struggled sometimes. So.
And I'm Jeremiah. I got to play the role of the father. Again, Allie said, first-time father. My role here at Glick is Director of Marketing. So I'm a artist, graphic designer by trade, creative, I guess, and at points try to input that into certain things in our lives, but it doesn't work for breastfeeding, I guess. But as the dad, it was an interesting part of the experience as far as there's times where you feel frustrated and you feel left out, and I think the real purpose there is just to provide any help that you can throughout the process whenever that's needed. As far as a history standpoint and like wanting to breastfeed, I think that I left that more up to Allie. I was never a proponent or an opponent. I think I really just, when she started talking about the positives and why we should, I said, yeah, sure, go for it. So, but yeah, I think overall ended up being a great experience.
Yeah. I think it would be important to mention maybe a few of the barriers or difficulties we kind of had during our journey. I think probably even if it's not your only child or first child, I think as women we always want to be the best mother we can, be the best woman we can, and there's a feeling, for me at least, of I felt inadequate sometimes, like, am I producing enough milk? Am I feeding enough? Am I doing it right? Are my boobs big enough to breastfeed? Like, can I do this? And, when things didn't go, when we had trouble latching at first, or I'm waking up alone a lot during the beginning, that first month especially, it's kind of like, oh, am I strong enough to do this? Am I doing it the right way? If my baby's crying and I can't make him stop crying, it's really emotional and it's really trying. And so, just trying to get through that, even though you have support, sometimes it feels a little lonely, but when you're able to bond and hold your baby and have that special one-on-one time, I think it's so beautiful and just so special. So one of the things that kept coming up was, and I know I would talk to my own mother about it, is like, man, I'm like, how old was I when Augie was born? Like early 30s, like, I don't know how young moms can do this, because it took so much resilience and so much support to keep going. For me, it wasn't easy peasy. I did have to work at it. So for me, Jeremiah was a really good support and took care of other things that allowed me to focus on breastfeeding and allowed me to not feel guilty about neglecting those other areas like sweeping or doing laundry or cooking or things like that. So that was kind of something that I struggled with. That was, ongoing really throughout, but I always, tried to persist, and we made it to 6 months, which I felt good about. So I don't know if you have anything to add about that.
I mentioned marketing and designing and creative, and I think I got to, utilize some of my organizational skills as far as like, the storage and freezing of breast milk for
That's true.
many months, because many people have said, you're pumping constantly, you're feeding or you're pumping or you're feeding or you're pumping. It was just nonstop, pretty much one or the other, back and forth. And then even as Augie got a little older and we're able to like go to a restaurant or something, it's like, cool, they're sitting down for dinner. Oh, wait a second, gotta go run to the car and get my plug in my pump and get a few gallons out of here or whatever.
Not gallons.
A few ounces out of here. But yeah, so that was, got to, like she said, just trying to help out any way that I could. When we did get to the point of being able to, use some of that breast milk to then me, start a bottle once a day or once a night, that I think kind of made me feel better, just being able to take the weight off of Allie's shoulders a little bit to say, hey, you can sleep now for an extra hour or whatever that may have been. And, the other stuff too, the household stuff and the cooking and, stuff like that. I think that just came more naturally. Like I, feel like that wasn't a forced thing. It was like, well, I'm just going to go, I got to do this. So, it's for the family and whatever. And it was fun. It was good. But yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part for me was, definitely kind of, like you said, that disconnect a little bit at the beginning to say like, well, I can't really be as much of a part of this as you are. So.
But I think what made, because we did pretty much like have a goal, like, because I had to go back to work after 3 months. I was lucky to have that much time off. Thank you, Glick. I did have to come back, and I pumped, I was able to pump and stuff at work to get me to 6 months. But I think what made us successful as a family during this too was the constant support that we gave each other, and also just like learning and changing as the journey continued. It wasn't like week 1, okay, this is how the baby feeds and that's how it's going to be. It was constantly changing, and it is, I think at first when we were kind of learning how it went, it was a little bit more difficult, but then after a while when I was able to have more milk and have some on hand, I could sleep, for a stretch of time, and then Jeremiah could feed the baby and have that special bonding time as well. So it's, taking care of the baby, but also having time to form your relationship with your infant. So I don't know. I think we did pretty good.
I think we did pretty good too.
Well, thank you so much, Allie and Jeremiah, for joining us today and sharing a bit about your experience.